I always, from the DARE program, I always knew I wanted to try every single drug. I always thought I'd do heroin like on my deathbed though. And then, so I became like an everyday avid pot smoker until I got into college, and that's when I met this girl, and she gave me a little blue pill, which is now known, which was and is still known as roxycodone, and that's kind of like a painkiller that doesn't. It's kind of like Percocet, but it doesn't have, like, you can abuse it and you won't get sick, pretty much. So, like I said, I developed kind of like a pill habit with that girl, and then one day, after I was coming home from work, I had $60, which I made from a tip on driving someone to the airport, and I called the girl, I said, hey, can you get me 2 pills? Because they were like $30 each at that time. And she said, no, I can't get you those pills, but I'm with this guy who can get you 6 bags of dope, which is heroin. And I said, is it anything like the pills? And she said, yes, but if you inject it, it's even better. So I said, all right, I don't want to inject it, but I'll try it. I'll try just sniffing it like I was sniffing the blues. And so that's how I pretty much got started with that.
And his personality is very funny, not serious at all, kind of annoying, and just a good person.
James is always reckless. He's always a daredevil, extremely smart, totally like, what's the word? How do I say this? Like, kind of like a salesman. Like he has that really smart mentality where he would just like, he would be on the bus selling kids like articles and just making money off of people, and I'd be like, what? This little businessman out of nowhere. And everything he did, he just was like amazing at. Like hockey, he was the star hockey player. In band, he was like the NYSMA all county. Like everything he did well. In school, he got all A's, and I was always the one looking at him like, oh my gosh, he can do everything, and he doesn't even try. So I would be like frustrated, because I'd be like, he doesn't even try, and he has everything. So, but I also admired that in him, that he was just, everything he did, he gave it his all, and he did amazing.
James was a thrill seeker. I really thought he had a death wish, because he would just be very reckless, if I had to say.
You know, we called James the adrenaline junkie because he always jumping out of planes, going down, snow paths that are closed due to avalanche danger. That James would always jump right down there.
Me and my brother are very close, and I looked up to my brother. So it was really cool when growing up, when he let me hang out with him and his friends. So we kind of connected a lot, and that's when, like his friends, him and his friends were doing some bad things, and introduced me to a lot of bad things, and it all goes down. It all goes downhill from there. Growing up, I only drank with my friends, and we only smoked, but seeing my brother tripping on shrooms with his shirt off in his room, spitting on the ground, laughing uncontrollably, that made me like want to not do any drugs anymore. So in a way, it kind of like got me out of that drug lifestyle.
When I first found out that he was in the hospital, I was in a business plan competition at Farmingdale. And I found out because one of my friends who goes to Farmingdale, I was like, hey girl, what are you doing? I'm at the college, let's hang out. And she's like, I'm actually working at the hospital, because she was trying to be a nurse. And she's like, is your brother in the hospital? His name is on this sheet. I'm like, what? I don't think he's in the hospital, because they all hid it from me, because they knew I had all this stuff going on with college that they were hiding it from me. But I knew day one. I knew literally within the first couple hours what had happened because of my friend. I guess it's just how God works. So she's like, yeah, what's his birthday? And I told her, I said, what is it? And she told me his birthday. Same age. I'm like, that has to be my brother. So I'm finding out the results for the business plan competition. And I leave because I called my mom and said, what's going on with James? What's going on? And I knew in my heart that something was off. So I called them, and my mom was like, "What? Who told you this?" She was like very reserved. I was like, "I know he's in the hospital. I have a friend who's a nurse, so tell me the truth." And she was like, "Okay, he overdosed." She didn't tell me the extent. She said, "There's nothing we can really do right now, so just continue without your day." So I went back to the competition, and I actually won something, but I was so upset that I like wasn't even happy about the award. I just like I got my like $1,000, and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, my brother's in the hospital. We don't know what's gonna happen, and I don't really care about this competition when my brother could be dead. You know, it's pretty real." And then when I got to the car, I just broke down and cried because I was like, I can't believe, because this was a year he had been sober. So it was a complete shock for me. And I hadn't been home, so I hadn't seen what was going on. I was away at college, so I was completely shocked, completely thrown off, and just destroyed by it.
The day I kicked him out of the house, his younger brother, James, and myself were watching a hockey game. And James went up to go to the bathroom. And I just had a bad feeling. So I followed him to the bathroom. The door was locked. So I went to the garage and I got a screwdriver and I pried the door open. And James was sitting down with a needle in his arm. I lost it. I slapped him across the face and started physically abusing him. And I looked up and I saw my youngest son watching us in horror. And at that point I knew I had to kick him out of the house because he was putting the rest of the family in danger. So we drove him down to a homeless shelter, and I got him into the homeless shelter. And it was right at the beginning of winter. So I was happy he was at least in a homeless shelter, but even with a homeless shelter, they'd kick him out during the days. And I would drive by and I'd see James on the corner panhandling for money. And it was devastating to see your child on the corner freezing, homeless. Not a good feeling.
So I was in my house, and I tried to cash another fraudulent check. And my mom actually is like, "Hey, the bank called today, and they said you tried to cash a check." And I was like, I didn't even want to answer, so I was just kind of like being quiet. And she was just kind of getting really like angry, like, "We're gonna have to talk about this, you know, everything." And so we finally came home, and I just went into the bathroom and I tried to stick myself or shoot up one more time with just the cotton shot. And my dad, I guess I didn't lock the door properly because my dad just opened the door, walked in, saw me. And I don't even think he realized what I was doing at first, because then all of a sudden I saw it just like click with him, and he's like, "What the?" You know, I don't want to curse, because is this going to be played to your school? Okay. He said, "What the?" You know, and then he like kind of like smacked my head, not really like physical or anything, just kind of like a pat on the head, like. And then I was like, "Oh man!" So I threw the cotton shot out at that point, and then I went out. My dad's like, "Let me search you," so I just stripped completely naked, because I didn't want there to be like, because I had extra pins which I'd bought earlier that day. I also had another fake check which I didn't try to cash, and yes, that was pretty much my lowest point.
I was at a Bible study, and I got a phone call, somebody looking for him to pick him. He was working for me as a driver, and he missed the pickup, which was right away a red flag, and I panicked because he's very reliable. And I called, and the phone went right to voicemail. So right away, I am having a heart attack, and I am racing home, and because I knew something was wrong. I called my office, which was in my house, and I called the girl, and I said, "Please, you got to go upstairs and check on my kid, because something's wrong." So she didn't really want to do that. Reluctantly, she went up into my house, because, you know, people are funny going into strangers' house, but then something said to her, like God spoke to her heart and said, "You better go upstairs." So she went upstairs, and she was banging on every door, and his room was the last room on the end of the hall, and she saw him gasping for breath, like, "Help me," with this look. So she calls me back, and she says, "Call an ambulance, something's wrong." So I call an ambulance, and my ambulance happens to be very close to my house. They see me racing like a lunatic. They follow me home. They says, "Yep, that was you on the road." I says, "Yes, it's my kid." They came up there. I saw him trying to gasp for air, and she said that at one point he looked like he was passing out, so she screamed, "Jesus!" And he looked, his eyes like that, and he looked at her like, "Help me," like I'm dying. So they came, and right away they just started hitting with Narcan and everything, and nothing was working. So they just put him on oxygen, and in the meantime I called Ed, my husband, and he started coming home. And at the time, they strapping him up and taking him down in a stretcher, and I'm just thinking, okay, I don't know what this is, but whatever it is, he's going to the hospital, he's in good hands, they're here, he'll be there for a couple days, he'll come home, he'll be in big trouble, and life will go on. That's what I thought. So I'm driving in the ambulance, and he's just in the back with the oxygen mask on. Got him into the hospital room, and then I see them cutting up his clothes, ripping his clothes off, and putting all these tubes every which way. They didn't know why he was non-responsive. At the time, we didn't know that both of his lungs collapsed. So it appeared that he was without oxygen for, they didn't know how many hours, but it could have been like up to 23 hours, and the night before, he was supposed to go to a meeting with Shaq, his friend, who was at my house. And I checked on him, and he was snoring, and sleeping. So I says, I guess he's really tired, And that night, we went to bed. We checked on him again, and he was snoring really loud. So wow, he must be really in a deep sleep, not thinking anything, So in the morning, I just got up and went about my day, and I just thought he was on his run doing his thing. So I had no idea to even check on him. So when we got to the in the hospital, then we still didn't really think anything was like serious, but I was starting to feel weak, and I was in his room, in the area, in the emergency room, and Ed was like in the waiting area. So I says, I'm getting weak in the knees. I need to go sit someplace. So I went to go find Ed. I get Ed, and I had to do James's runs. So I said, listen, can you go sit with him? Because I can't. I'm gonna pass out. So Ed went, and I left, and I went to go do a run. And then as I'm driving with a client in the car, I'm having a God moment, and I'm processing what's happening. And I'm saying, oh my God, what do I do? And it was like a big hand, pray incessantly. And I'm driving, I'm like, yeah, I can do that, And it was like, again, no, Donna, I want you to go on Facebook. And it was coming at me like this. And I want you to ask everyone that has a personal relationship with me to stand in the gap and pray for your son. And it was like, because your son is fighting for his life. It was like really like in my face. And I'm like, ooh, don't really want to do that, God. Who wants to put it on Facebook? And but I knew it was God. And I said, you know what? I will obey. I'm going to do this. And the second I said this in my head, I had this experience of being like lifted up, wrapped around like within a blanket, and like this poured into, when they say this love that goes beyond understanding, oh my gosh, it was holy mackerel, it was intense, right? So I'm having this experience. So I dropped this client off, right? And I'm heading back. And I'm thinking about what I experienced, and I'm saying, God, why would God want me to put this on Facebook? I'm thinking, unless maybe, I guess he wants an audience, because I knew it would go viral. And then I'm thinking, wow, if he wants an audience, holy mackerel, I think he's going to heal him. And then I'm thinking, heal him? He's going to heal him 100%. He's going to, because God doesn't do, half. He doesn't. And then I'm thinking, how great is our God? Not only is he going to heal him, he's going to heal him 120%. Because that's how great our God is. And I'm thinking better than 100%. So I'm having this realization, and then the phone rings and it's Ed with more bad news. Collapsed lung. The whole way there it was all, heart failure, kidney failure, collapsed lung, the other lung's no good. It was just bad news, the whole ride. And so he called me with more bad news. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, what is wrong with you? And I said, no, I go ahead. I said, I just had this God experience, and I know that James is going to be fine. And God's going to heal him. It's all good. It's all good. So what's up? And he's like, well, he's got kidney failure, heart failure, and he's got a 50% chance of making it through the night. So I said, well, you know what, Ed? It's in God's hands. And whose better hands for it to be in? In Jesus' name I pray, amen. He's like, and Ed gets off the phone, and Ed tells me, Donna, he goes, I thought, there's my kid dying in the hospital, and there's my wife. She had a mental breakdown, And I can understand, but that was that day.
I basically, like I said earlier in the question, I did physical therapy with him twice a day. And Donna, my wife, had to work with the limousine company, so she really wasn't there as much as she wanted to be, so a lot of it fell on me. And I'll let James, you can ask James that question later, but I think I played a tremendous part in his recovery. I vowed that if he did heal and he did live, he was going to walk and snowboard and rollerblade again, because many times people in comas, they come out, they do have atrophy and they can't move certain parts of their body because the muscles deteriorate. And James snowboarded this year, which is a major accomplishment, and he's going to put the rollerblades on first day of June. He's ready to go. So I think I played a tremendous part in his recovery. Thousands of hours sitting with him, whether it was playing in thumb wrestle, right? Thumb wrestle's trying to get his fingers moving again. To when he first was able to stand up, he was so proud. I pushed him back in the bed. He was like, Dad, what are you doing? So then he stood up again, and I went to push him again. He pushed me back. Many things, from him first grabbing a tennis ball and trying to throw it to play basketball again. A lot of hours I spent with him, and I'm pretty happy because, like I said, he snowboarded this year, and he's going to be putting the rollerblades back on in about a week.
The whole time in the hospital, they said he is a vegetable. He will live his life a vegetable. He will be a ward of the state. He will never walk or talk again. And they wanted to pull the plug and donate his organs because he was an organ donor. There was a big push for that in the very beginning. And when they released him, right away I had a regular doctor do a new MRI because now we're excited. We want to see brain dead to now he's playing chess. So I want to see, how good is it now. So we go and we have this test done, and we walk in there and it's Ed, me, James, and the doctor. And the doctor's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. This can't be your MRI. This can't be yours. And we're all excited because we know where he was to where he is. And we're like, yeah, what does it say, And she goes, Donna, this MRI is the MRI of a vegetable. There is no way he could be walking or talking with this MRI because this MRI, the entire top of his brain is gone. It died from lack of oxygen, and he's really functioning with just the lower part of his brain. So James passed out because he heard us tell him how bad he was. He didn't know because he was out of it. And then when he heard it, I don't think he could believe it. But to hear it from a doctor, and for me, it was the first time the bubble broke. Because I hit earth that day. I just remember my foot hit earth, and I was like, I look at Ed, and I says, Ed, I cannot believe that. I can't believe that. And my husband, of all things, says the brightest thing. He goes, Donna, he goes, don't you understand? That's the miracle. He goes, because if God would have healed his brain 100% the way it was, people would have said this didn't really happen, you exaggerated, you made it up. Did it really happen? Was this your imagination? He goes, but here, the evidence does not lie. He has the brain of a vegetable, yet he is miraculously 120% back. 100% back physically, mentally, but the 20% is that now he knows God.
It kind of It was very devastating to see their child be in a hospital, but it all in all kind of got my family closer together because when we visited him in the hospital, we saw we were connected. You know, we're all right next to each other in a room. So it was good.
Many times when James was in the coma, the first 5 weeks, I tormented myself with that exact same question, thinking if I would have done something different, he wouldn't be here where he was today. And it really, like I said, tormented myself. As a father, you want the best for your kids, and I think I failed, but as time went on, I looked at it, I have 3 children. James is the oldest, and we treated them all the same. And James just chose to go down this path, and he had to go down this path. When he came out of it, I asked him that same question, and he said, "Dad," he goes, "I had to do it. I had to experience it." And unfortunately, the heroin was a addiction that was very tough to overcome. But so to answer your question, do I think I could have changed something? Maybe, but at the end of the day, I have 3 children. 2 have made the right choices. 1 did not make the right choice. So probably would change some things, but not a lot. Well, the hardest part for me is past. I'm the dad in the family, and my job is the fixer. No matter what problem that anyone ever came to me with, I was always able to fix. And when this happened to James, I couldn't fix it. And it broke my heart that I couldn't fix it. But by the grace of God, he's healed, and God fixed him for me.
The hardest part was in the beginning when I didn't believe in God and I saw the situation as it was, and I was like, he's gone forever. We were sitting in a Chinese restaurant, and my dad was like, this is going to be our family. Moving on. We're not going to have him here. And that was like such an overwhelming feeling. We all just cried together as a family. And I don't think anyone can experience the pain we experienced. I don't think anyone wants to. Honestly, I do hope he experiences it, because then he'll understand that he can never do that again. He can never hurt us again. And I think he knows that, he hurt us, but to the extent, it would break my heart for him to realize, because it just hurt us so bad.
If you could change one thing in your life, would you? And I always said no, because I learned from my mistakes. So why would I want to go back and take away the lessons I learned, Yes, I would be in a more physical, top shape performance level, but I wouldn't have this relationship with God, this wisdom I've got from the experience, and my family would not be as close as it is today. Things I'd wanted before have drastically changed, and it's definitely kind of pushed me into my future, my future calling, or whatever you want to call it. I have no idea, but I know it's something to do with ministry, definitely going to keep following Jesus, and wherever he wants to place me is where I'll end up. Don't do drugs. Watch out for toxic relationships. I think everyone should go into a kind of not an Alcoholics Anonymous program, but some kind of recovery-based program, because I think everyone has something they're struggling with. It might not be drugs, it could be work or attention seekers or codependent, but and I feel the only answer to every single problem is God, so that's what I'd like to say.
Still got it.
Yes.